Hello, St. Brendan's. Boy, do we miss you. Know that you're missed, and we are praying for you. For those of you who I have not been able to meet, my name is Doug Yglesias. I am the deacon candidate interning at the parish. And we miss seeing your faces at the ministries, at the masses, and we can't wait to get together soon. Recently, when this COVID-19 started, in my prayer life, I felt like God was really telling me these words of, for such a time as this. And I had no idea what he was trying to tell me, but I kept hearing it, for such a time as this. And I even mentioned it when we were preparing for Mass, some people in the sacristy, who would have thought, for such a time as this? I kept asking God, what are you trying to tell me in this, Lord? So finally I did like any self-respecting person, I Googled it. Where do these words come from, for such a time as this? And interesting enough, it comes from the book of Esther. For those of you who haven't heard the story, Esther was a young Jewish woman at a time when the Jews were in exile. This Persian king who was ruling over them at the time was taken by Esther's beauty. The king's advisors were making a plan to kill all the Jews, and they were getting the king to buy in. Well, Esther was on the fence. She was very nervous because for a woman to go speak to a king, it was a death sentence. You could only speak to the king when the king called you. So she was really struggling with this. And Mordecai tells Esther, you were brought to the kingdom for such a time as this. So how does that relate to where we're at? This COVID-19, I'm sure many of us are asking us, why were we born into this time? This is such an uncertain time. Well, I challenge you that God knows what He's doing, and He brought you for such a time as this. He gave Esther grace to handle that situation. And in fact, Esther asked all the Jews right before she spoke to the king to pray and fast. She had influence over the people around her. In the same way, I believe that God is giving you grace. He put you here in the communities that you're involved with, the friendships, the neighbors. Maybe we're all working at home and it's the interaction with your spouse and your children for such a time as this. What a unique opportunity if we're home with our families to really get to know them in a different light. This will be gone soon. Yes, we'll be back to our busy, fast-paced world with sports and band and music. But let's take an opportunity for such a time as this to get to know our wives, our husbands, our children. And if we're not with family, maybe I've spoken to many people who are by themselves. You are still there for other people for such a time as this. I challenge you to reach out to those people that you haven't spoken to in a long time. Let them know that they're loved and that they're thought of and that they're cared for, that they haven't been forgotten. Maybe for such a time as this is an opportunity for forgiveness. Maybe it's that son who, we had a falling out 10 years ago and we just haven't been able to let the grudge go. Call them. Let them know you love them, that you forgive them in such a time as this. Maybe in the same extent, maybe it's your parent or your brother or your sister, and you need to let that forgiveness happen. God's given you the grace. He put you here now. Let's take this opportunity to be the hands and feet of Christ. That is what the Catholic Church says the church is. It's the hands and feet of Christ. So we're asking God to be involved. Allow Him to work through you. God bless you, and we'll continue praying for you.